just find somewhere to sit. Well guys, welcome back to another video. I'm back out again, looking forward to seeing what we can come across today. Now today's a bit of a scouting mission. I've never been to this area before. I'm actually close to Mount Falls where I was last week, so I've came to an area called Squamish. Now Squamish is vast, there's plenty of trails, there's lots of activities here, lots of mountain biking, lots of rock climbing. Now above us there's a mountain called the Chief, and it's just like a huge lump of rock, and people go rock climbing up the face of it. Not something I'm prepared to do, but it's great to watch people getting that exercise in. It is pretty sunny. I was hoping it to be more overcast, but it is quite sunny today. But the fact that we've got the Chief in the location that I'm at the moment, the sun's going to be going behind the Chief, so it's going to shelter this area that I want to scout out. Now that's what you've got to do when you've got bright conditions. Still get yourself out with the camera. I've said in the past, scout out locations, take images for when you return. So that's what I'm going to do today. Now I did come out first thing this morning. I came out anticipating sunrise. There is a forecast of rain tomorrow, so normally the day before you get rain, you normally get a nice sunrise. The unfortunate thing this morning was we didn't have enough high cloud. There was some colour there, it did start to catch, so I can imagine if there was a lot more cloud up there, you could have got a nice sunrise. When you haven't got the conditions, whether it's chucking it down with rain or it's blue skies and it's too bright to capture what you want, just keep returning until you get that day. At least you've got a reference for when you go back to what you want to capture. Beautiful stretch of the river here. I'm going to explore it, see what I can make of it, see what we can come across, and here's to a good day. So as I've been making way up this river, it really is nice. It's lovely and peaceful. There's not many people around, if any at all. So it's nice to take advantage of that. Just sit and relax and take in your surroundings. Now I've came across this area here. It's really nice. We've got these huge boulders, but they're laden with those green mosses that I like so much. We've got this part of the river coming down in between these boulders, so there's plenty of interest. And I'm managing to fill the frame with all that interest that I've got. Now I've put the 35mm on. I like shooting with the 35. I've been shooting with the 35 a lot lately. It's a 35mm 1.4 GM. It's a cracking lens, really enjoying it. I enjoyed it in the street and I'm enjoying it in landscapes. Now the reason the 35mm is a good focal length, because when I'm scouting out locations, it's close to what the human eye sees. So it's easier to find those compositions. You've got a better idea when you put the camera on the tripod of what you're going to see when you look through the viewfinder. So this is the shot I'm going for. We've got this great boulder behind us to my left here, and then you've got these boulders in between. But you've got the river running through them, and the river's just disappearing off into the background. We've got some lovely foliage, some moss, and some of the leaves there. They are starting to change. Fall's a bit late this year. We're not getting a lot of fall colour at the moment, but that reaches over, and then you've got another boulder in the centre of the frame there, followed by these other two big boulders, and they're just catching some of that light from the sky there. Now what I'm waiting for is, you'll be able to see in the centre of the image, we've got some little rapids, but there's some bright highlights there, some specular highlights, and I'm waiting for them to go. So what I need to happen is, I need the sun to go behind the Chief, that mountain that I was on about earlier. And once that sun goes behind the Chief, I'm going to lose these bright highlights that I've got on the water, because I want it to be nice and balanced. So I've got set up for this shot. The light's more or less gone now, so we're not getting as many highlights on those rapids, because when you get highlights on the white part of the rapids, they really do become distracting in your images. So just waiting that little bit longer for that sun to move round makes the scene a lot more balanced. So I've got the 35mm on, the A7R3, and I've put the polarizer on now, making sure not to overly use that polarizer. I just want to use it enough to take some of the glare off this water, because even though we haven't got that harsh light from the sky, we're still getting reflective light on the water itself. Now, not only that, I don't want to oversaturate those greens. If I can get my images as natural as I can, that's really important to me, and that's why it's key to do much as you can in camera, and then it saves you all that work in post. Now, I'm going to shoot this at f8. I'm going to take 2 images. I'm actually going to focus stack it just to edge my bets. The reason for shooting at f8 is I want the shutter speed for my water. I want to retain some of that detail in the water. It's really important to us. So I'm getting round about a 1/4 to a 1/6 of a second, which is ideal for what I'm wanting to capture. Before we had that light, it was casting in. So you can imagine if you had some mist and fog, it's going to catch that light and you're going to get those shafts of light that I like so much. Now, the sun's more or less moved round, so we're not getting many harsh highlights in the mid-ground there. You'll be able to see that mid-ground, it's a lot more balanced, you can see a lot more detail. But these boulders, and as a scene as a whole, it really has caught my eye, and I'm pleased that I came across it. It's key to visualise a scene in different conditions. That's what's going to draw you back, that's what's going to get you back wanting to take that image, just to fine-tune it and see how it works out. But I'm going to get back to the camera now. This light's going to disappear soon, so we're going to lose those specular highlights that's bothering us at the moment, and we'll see how the images work out. A bit sketchy today, so we got that first image. I was really pleased the way it looked on the back of camera. We had some beautiful light beyond those boulders. You know, once that sun went behind the chief there, it really did create some nice soft light in that background. Now, I tried out the 24. I wanted to incorporate a lot more into the scene, and what I was finding was, you'll be able to see above us there, we've started to introduce sky, and that's what you don't want. You don't want to try and include sky as much as you can. You want to try and keep that sky out the shot. Now, because the river's coming down the way, I can keep that sky out the shot, but with the 24mm, it wasn't possible when I wanted to include more in the scene. So what I've done is I've actually put the 35mm on, and I've came further back. Now, the reason for getting further back is I was really attracted to these boulders. So I photographed those boulders before, but I want to incorporate a lot more into my image. So what I've done is I've got further back. That means I get that background. We've got the boulders, then we've got the water and the river running down in the mid-ground. I've been careful not to cut that river off. Always make sure you get that bend in the river. Then it leads down to these boulders here. Got these grouping of boulders, and then we've got these little rapids that lead you through the scene, and I think it's really interesting. There's plenty of textures on these rocks that we've got. Now, because the light's behind the chief, we've got the sun behind the chief's helping us out. It's still nice and balanced light. It's lovely light in here. Now, it has got brighter, that reflective light from the sky has got brighter. There's a bit of cloud there now, so it's casting down into this part of the canyon. So what I'm able to do now is I'm actually able to shoot it at f11. I'm still going to focus stack it because I'm pretty close to this foreground. So what I'm going to do is shoot at f11. It's giving us the shutter speed I want, round about a 1/5 of a second, I think. focus on this foreground, focus in the mid-ground, and that's going to get everything sharp that I want sharp. Now, even if I don't need that second shot, it gives us the option when I get back. So that's why I always take a couple of images in case I want to, I want that image to be a little bit sharper in those areas in the background. So I'm going to get back. We are going to get that sunlight coming up above the chief soon. So I want to make sure that I get this image before we get any harsh highlights on this river. But another beautiful scene. Now I did go back to my car and get something to eat and make sure that the car was alright, because I am quite out the way here, so you've got to always be careful of where you park your car. Now I'm just making my way along this river, seeing if I can come across any more compositions, see if I can get any more mossy boulders in the scene. I really enjoyed photographing them boulders earlier on. Now what we've got now is we've got a lot of high cloud, which is a bit unfortunate because this morning it would have caught all that colour. But beggars can't be choosers, I'll just have to go back and try again. So I'm going to continue on these trails to be able to see the lush greens on the trees here, all the mosses. But what a beautiful morning. So I'll make my way a bit further up, keep my eye out for some shots. That overcast sky is going to help with the light, especially if I'm going to be photographing this river again. So we'll just see how it goes. How lovely is that? It really is lovely. We've got this thick tree leaning over these thick mossy branches. We've got some autumn colours there, some yellows, some greens, some oranges, and it's just gracing the top of this scene that I've got behind us here. Not only that, I've got some boulders and I've got some rapids there, some little falls in the mid-ground. What I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to capture the full scene if I can in one image. I want to incorporate this really thick mossy branch leading over from the left hand corner of the frame, making sure to include all of it. I really want to capture all of this because there's so much of the fall colour there. Now we haven't had a lot of fall colour yet, it's really late this year. Now I believe the trees could be stressed out because we've had a hot summer, that could be the reason. But there is some there, so I'm going to capture this. Now we don't have much of a breeze, so I don't have to worry too much about the shutter speed, but I do want to retain that detail in the water. It was quite a tricky composition to work out because you've got to try and get that separation. I've said to you in the past about creating as much separation as you can, and when I mean separation I mean the whole scene if possible. Now you'll be able to see that far boulder in the background. That was probably the hardest thing, to get some sort of separation, because I wanted to make sure that the top of the boulder, the branch wasn't encroaching on it. So I've got my camera to the level that I want, where you can still see a little bit of the top of that boulder, so you've got that separation. Not only that, this boulder that I'm using just for a bit of foreground interest, I had to make sure there was some separation behind the boulder beyond it, so you can see some water. I didn't want them boulders to come together, so I wanted some water down there. We've got some falls to your left hand side, got some falls in the mid-ground there, so it all works together as a scene. We've got this immediate boulder over my left shoulder, the one in the distance, some scattered in the boulders here that I've tried the best to separate, part of the rapids to the right hand side, and this glorious branch. Now it has got a bit brighter, so I put my f-stop up to f14. I can get it all sharp in one shot, and I'm looking at the same again, round about a fifth to a sixth of a second, and that's going to get everything sharp that I want, and it's going to get that texture in the water that I want without any of the white highlights there, without them clipping. Now I will continue looking around this scene, see if I can get a different composition on it for when I do return. I will be returning because it's an absolute amazing area. Fall's arrive and it's starting to come. You can tell by the colour in the leaves, it's eventually going to show its face. Now today it's been such a brilliant time, I really have. It's amazing to know that only up the road you've got Squamish Falls, where I was in my last video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put it in the link above. But it is early afternoon now. Now as you can see, it still looks amazing, it really does. Now it's a bit more of a boulder dash now. There's a lot of rocks, there's a lot of boulders as I venture further into this forest. Now I'm sure a lot deeper in you're going to come across those little falls, those rapids, those mossy boulders like you can see behind us. I'm already coming across these fallen trees that have been here for some time and they're laden with that moss. But it is time for us to go and get a coffee, get something to eat, and think about heading back to Vancouver. But it's been absolutely brilliant. You know, I came out this morning, went out onto the stretch of water there just outside Squamish. We didn't get a sunrise. I was hoping for the shot of the chief, but it didn't happen. And then I ventured a bit further over to this location. Now I was going to go back up to Squamish Falls, but when I was coming up the road I seen this trail going off, and you know when you're intrigued, I thought, I wonder where that goes to. So I parked up, put the backpack on and made my way in here, and I'm so pleased I did. We've got those couple of compositions further back down the river there, got some of that glorious fall colour, and I'm speechless really. Now if you come here and you've got fog and mist, I can imagine it'd be endless for compositions and those atmospheric images, but that's going to be it for today. I'm going to save all that for next time until I come back again, and I will be back. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. It's been an absolute pleasure having it along. I'm going to head back to Squamish, get that coffee and head back to Vancouver. So if you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It's much appreciated. It really does help my channel out a lot. Gives me the encouragement, the drive to get out. If you haven't seen my channel before, hit the subscribe button. I can't wait to bring you more videos. But from me and this glorious forest, until next time, thanks for watching. Bye bye.